The fourth Sunday, all 3 years, as you know, we have A, B, and C years for the Gospels for the Sunday readings, is all about the Good Shepherd. And we've had that for many, many decades to think about Jesus as the Good Shepherd. I remember when I was in the seminary, we had a program called Pre-Sem, and it would be for junior high or weeks for boys in high school. And this one young man was here, and he had a funny accent. He was from Australia, and he was really a neat guy. And one of the readings that week was the Good Shepherd from chapter 10, and I asked him after I got him to teach me the national anthem of Australia, the All Sing Matilda. It's just a great song, Want to go up? And so I said, what would your dad did? He was a sheep farmer. And I said, what would he do if one of the sheep just kind of walked off? And would your dad go find him and leave the other ones there? And he said, oh, no, he'd let the blighter go. That's not what our Good Shepherd does, though. He never lets us go. He is always there. And so we want to think about this. What does it mean to be a good shepherd? Now, I've never really known any actual shepherds. And I don't know if anybody here has actually known a real shepherd. We kind of know what they are, and we like to watch the sheepdogs and stuff. But a couple of things we can think about this good shepherd of Jesus. And Pope Francis told probably a couple of years ago when he talked about the good shepherd himself and talking about Jesus as the good shepherd. And first of all, the good shepherd is in front of the people. He's leading the people. He's taking them, and he's in the front of the flock because he's going to take them somewhere that they perhaps don't know where it is. There's a little bit of what's really out there. Because if he's not out leading the flock, well, then it can get all mixed up and go places they shouldn't go. So you have to have that sense of leadership in that sense. But that's not all. First of all, second of all, you have to think about Jesus as one with them. He's right in the middle of the flock. He walks with them. He eats with them. He sits down with them, and has talks with them. And he's right there in the middle of the flock. And Pope Francis said, the good shepherd has to have the smell of the flock. So stop taking baths now on and just come and smell like sheep. But you gotta be mix it up with people, not just way out there. And then there's a third thing you have to think about too, is the shepherd has to be behind them. Because if they start walking off in the wrong way, he's got to be able to see that and bring them back into the flock. And we see that in his whole life. Jesus was doing these things. He was out front. He was leading people. He took Peter, James, and John and had this mysterious transfiguration. And what's that? The flock, the shepherds, the apostles, they weren't quite sure, but they knew that he was leading them somewhere that's good. But, if they already knew, then it wouldn't be a big deal at all. He's with them in the meals. And those who need correction, who are hurt, he's there with them as well. So you have to think of the shepherd as walking in front, walking right in the middle of them, and behind them as well. That's what good shepherds do. And we, when we were baptized, were made those beautiful sons and daughters of God. And they became good shepherds. Because we all, in baptism, have that character of priest, prophet, and king. And so we have to kind of be thinking about that every single one of us is meant to be a member of the flock of Jesus. And that's what happens in baptism. We become an ambassador of the shepherd. So we are supposed to be living as the good shepherd, both leading, both being with them, and standing behind them as well. And do we take that seriously? And we want to always think about big vocations on this particular Sunday. And it's a Sunday of really talking about religious vocations, especially the priesthood, to model that one called the Christ. So we have to look at our families and how we prepare our kids for adulthood. Now, there's some things that are natural, learning how to walk and talk and have good manners and things like that. Those are good things, and we should have them. But we also have to think about, what is the future of my son or my daughter? And you really should not be thinking what you think they should do. It's not a parent's job to do that. Parents' job is to help their children know the face of God more than anything else. More than anything else. Because in the end, we are going to die. And are we looking at the face of the world or the face of God? So one of the some things that we could actually do to do this is, first of all, pray for vocations in your family. Seriously pray for them. Pray that your son or daughter is given a religious vocation. In sociology terms, if you want your children to be happy, the happiest group of people are religious people. And of the religious people, the happiest ones are nuns and priests and brothers. There's something about the lifestyle, etc. And that's the group. Now, there's many people who are married who are very happy. And if that's your vocation, and when I work with engaged couples, I say, well, why do you think God wants you to marry her? And the answer is, saying that, well, how do you know God is calling you to the vocation of matrimony? And they go, okay, marriage is a vocation. God calls men and women to that way of life. But see, we kind of back off and are afraid to think about that. We have to help our children understand that. So you got to start from the time they're 6 months old, all right? And because that's when it starts. That's when they start learning. It is absolutely horrible not to bring your children to church on Sunday. That's a horrible thing. Because we make Sunday then just, well, maybe yes, maybe no. God is out there leading us. He says, this is the holy day. And to give our time, talent, and treasures And you start doing that. Obviously, they're not going to understand intellectually, but what happens is, the more we do that, then we get to have a rhythm of our life. And a lot of times when they get in junior high and high school, they say, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to Mass. And they will argue and things like that. But isn't it amazing? Some parents will make sure that their sons and daughters go to school. Don't let them skip school because of the future. When we let them skip Mass, there's a future then too. And, and my daddy would always say, do I have to go to Mass? And he would say, you want to eat? When you get your own apartment, pay your own bills, I won't have any say on it. But is that important? Talk about the good priests and sisters and brothers that you've known growing up, and talk about them. Ask them regularly, what do you think God wants you to do? And their answer will be, I don't know. Well, then, son, daughter, maybe you should think about that. Maybe you should pray about that. And that's leading. That's leading. Nobody becomes a priest or a sister or a brother because mommy and daddy pushed them. They don't get even through they don't get through the seminary. But to have that strength, just fill your children with faith, faithful words, faithful behaviors, and just they're not going to become a priest or a brother just because you do that, but you open up the door. And it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of good things in the world. There's a lot of wonderful things in the world. But sometimes we let the world determine our future. Well, I really want to have grandchildren. Well, how do you know God wants your child to have children? I don't know that. Neither do you. Because they are God's children first. First, they belong to God. And He gives us, parents, to help them know God. That's the most important thing you can do, is to let them know who God is. First by example, second by words, and allowing God's love to be in your heart and transfer that to their hearts. That's the kind of thing we have to do to increase vocations. And it's a wonderful thing, I love being a priest. I love it. Our permanent deacons, they love being deacons and being servants. And I can go on with so many different things. Because God calls. So, we have that program of the traveling crucifix. We have 5 sets, and sometimes it's only 1 or 2 families that actually take the cross home and pray for vocations. And, you can do that. And then you pray for a vocation from someone in your family. Don't pray for somebody else to do it. But you pray for your own family. And it has to be that personal thing. And don't worry about grandchildren. If your children don't bring you grandchildren, you can still be a proxy. You can be a great sponsor for baptism. You hear me say it all the time that we should be giving our presents, instead of birthday presents, give them presents on the anniversary of their baptism when they became a member of the church. and imbue that thinking of, oh, this is something about God, rather than just a bicycle. God is so much bigger than that. And don't hold your children back. If they start thinking and wondering, maybe I do want to be a nun or a priest or a brother, don't hold them back. Encourage that. Yes, you can say, well, you think about maybe you should be a doctor, or maybe you'd be a policeman or a teacher. You'd be maybe a priest. And you start doing this, and you put that before them. You know, the world wants us to get all the way away from God. The world does not want people to be in the business of the church. They don't want that. They don't care if you come to Mass. The world doesn't care about that. What the world cares about is, hey, you're going to take the faith and put that into action in society. That's what scares the world. So think about that as parents, as be shepherds. Sometimes you lead. Sometimes you just be with them and console them. And then sometimes you have to correct them. But God is calling young people, young adults, to serve in the church. Don't let the world take you away from that if that's your vocation. And you will find that vocation, and we can help you do that through prayer, through great Catholic action. That's the kind of stuff that we can do. And so I plead you and for you to talk to your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, the boy next door, the girl next door. Say, did you ever think about going into church work? You ever think about becoming a priest or a nun? You think about that. That's the kind of thing we have to do. So let's renew our desire that some of our children will become a priest or a sister or a brother. God has allowed them to happen. Now, we need you to help your children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, kids next door. You have to help them see that might be one of them.